We have to recognize not only the things the girls went through, but we also should recognize they survived. Recognize that there is something in the human spirit that gets you through all of the madness.
God works in mysterious ways. You would never, I mean, it's just unbelievable, unbelievable. These girls, these women are so strong, stronger than I am. I will tell you that much. And they all have a positive attitude. And this is what we need from everyone. We need to still be a family, neighborhood with neighborhood. We need to watch out for all kids. Really, watch who your neighbor is, because you'll never know.
Watch who your neighbor is, because you never know. Don't snoop around, get to know your neighbor. Here's a novel concept. Talk to your neighbor. We're also busy, zoned into our cell phones and our iPads. We don't bother making human connections anymore. What do you say we look up from time to time? Look around. We might just see something. I talked to a police officer today because I'm going to show you some audio here in a second, and I asked, so if you saw something and you call the police, they think you're nuts. I don't know, something's wrong. The police officer told me, he said, Glenn, I've listened to you for years. I think one of the most important things you've said in a long time is get to know your sheriff and get to know your local police. I thought about that this afternoon in this case. We used to know, I don't know, Officer O'Malley or whoever it was. We knew the cops. My father, I remember he got stopped a couple of times for a speeding ticket. And he knew, he was like, hey Steve, Bill, what are you doing? We knew each other. And if you saw something wrong, you could call up and say, hey, Steve, you know me. You know I'm saying there's something not right here. And Steve may not have necessarily believed you, but he would have watched that house for a while. He might have told the other guys on the force, hey, Bill knows something. When I look at this story, I'm amazed by one thing. The map. Look at how close these houses are together. They are right on top of each other. 10 years? A girl has a baby? 10 years? Nothing? Where's the community? Incredibly, Child Protective Services, who I don't count on to do anything, but I just want to point this out. Child Protective Services were sent to this home in 2004 because the suspect, a Cleveland school bus driver, that's what the guy did, he left a young boy on the bus. So when he locked the bus up, here's his kid trapped on the bus. Well, not supposed to do that. I wonder if the labor union was involved because they knocked on his front door, but he didn't answer the door, so they just left. They never made contact with him. They never returned to his house. I mean, it's amazing to me, especially when you remember what we've been watching on TV happening in California when they bust through that door in Sacramento, California. Remember, and they say, hey, lady, we're going to take your kid. Really? They didn't even bother to come back. Now, give them the benefit of the doubt. They're not looking for kidnapped girls, but what about the neighbors? Amanda had a child, birthed the child. How in the world did no one notice a baby being born next door or a baby crying in a house that wasn't supposed to have a baby? Nobody noticed this? The interview that is going viral right now is the guy who actually answered Amanda's plea for help. She was banging on the door, and Charles Ramsey helped her escape. He gave a pretty memorable telling off to the reporters, and it was really amazing, some of the things he said in its entirety. Let me just play a little bit of the clip here.
See, that girl Amanda told the police, I ain't just the only ones. It's some more girls up in that house. So they went up there, 30, 40 deep, and when they came out was just astonishing, because I thought they were going to come up with nothing. I figured, whoever she was, and like I say, my neighbor, you got some big testicles to pull this off, bro, because we see this dude every day. Every day.
How long have you lived here?
I've been here a year. Okay. You see where I'm coming from? Right. I barbecue with this dude. We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from? Yeah. And you had no indication that there was anything going on? Bro, not a clue that girl was in that house or anybody else was in there against their will. I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Okay. Everybody is looking at that, but you'll notice he said, I knew a year ago. And you have to go back to another interview that he gave. Now, this one isn't as entertaining as the first, but this is the one that I want you to pay very close attention to what he says, because it affects you. Watch.
Once she said her name, you recognized the name.
Yeah, yeah. And then I walked down the street and I told my neighbor, Anthony, and I said, Anthony, me and Anthony talked about this last year, but he told me I was paranoid because I just moved on the street, and I told him something wrong with that house. He told me just leave it alone, Chuck, and you see what happened.
This guy I am trying to get on the show. This guy I want to talk more than, I want to talk to him more than any president or anybody else. I want to talk to him. He said, I'm living on the street. This guy's been stripped down to nothing. You want to watch this story and actually get something out of it, because otherwise we're voyeurs. What are you learning from this story? Ooh, what about the chains? You want something out of this story? That guy can provide it. He knew something. Something inside of him said, there's something wrong with that house. There's something wrong with these people. But his friend said, oh, you're just paranoid. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So he dropped it. Words have consequences. We should listen more than we speak. And I don't mean listen to each other. Maybe listen and hear. When the Spirit wells up in you, do not push it down. Do not dismiss it. If he would have known the local cop, if he would have had a friend who said, you know what, I know you, man. I know you're not crazy. What do you think is wrong? I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. I'll be cryptic on a couple things here, but last week a couple of friends came over, and they came over to the house, and they told me I had only met a friend of theirs and their spouse one time. Met them one time, met them quickly. And they came over and they said, dude, how did you know? I said, what are you talking about? Do you remember when you met this couple? And I said, yeah. And they said, a brief meeting. They said, you remember you asked, how does everybody feel about this couple? And I said, yeah. Why? He said, you told us something was wrong. Well, it turns out the husband is abusing the wife. I didn't know that, but I knew something was wrong with him, and I knew something was wrong in the relationship. And so I went to the family. No one else said they saw it. I wonder now how many of them are going, man, you know what? I just dismissed it. Don't dismiss these things. One more story. I was at the NRA convention this weekend, and I occasionally will have decent discernment on people. And usually only, I wish I had it all the time, but usually only in, well, there's the line there, usually only in lines like this, and it happens rapidly. And you'll see, if you were watching that, you'll see people are in front of me very fast. And I don't like it, because I like to spend time with people, but I look people right in the eye. And I have this bizarre gift that occasionally I can look people in the eye and I can feel them. And I know I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they're really going through, but I can feel pain sometimes. And this guy in line Saturday, he came through and he was with 3 people, and he came through the line, and I looked up and I said, hi, and he looked me right in the eye and he said, how are you? And I said, fine. And I signed this book and I slid it back. And as I'm sliding it back and he's starting to turn, I feel, tell him everything's going to be okay. But he's smiling, everything seems to be fine. And then this woman comes up and she starts talking to me. And he's leaving, and I hesitated that long, and he's walking away. And she says, hi, how are you? And I'm signing the book for her, and I'm hearing again, tell him everything's going to be okay. Well, I look over, and he's already gone. I said to the woman, could you hold just a second? They stopped the line. I went around the podium, and I had to go out. They keep me in this little box thing now for security, and I went out, and I look out, and he's already way down. He's like 50 feet away from me, and he's way down by the escalators. And I said, hang on, I'll be right back. So I went out, and as I'm walking up to him, I see him with some friends, and he's laughing. And I'm thinking, I am so stupid. What am I doing? And I walked up to him, and he turned around, and he went, whoa, what's up? And I said, I don't even know what this means, but I feel like I'm supposed to tell you everything's going to be okay. The guy immediately broke down and hugged me and started to cry. I don't know what was going on in his life. But things like that become stronger when you actually follow through. If you don't believe any of the God stuff, read The Gift of Fear. There is a radar in all of us that too many of us ignore. It's a muscle, and the more you ignore it, the weaker it gets. Exercise it. It will warn you. It will set off alarm bells. Listen, listen. I'm sure a lot of people have been around that guy all weekend. A lot of people were around this husband and wife, and they thought something, but they didn't say anything. At some point, I have told you for years, at some point the Spirit will say to you, stop, turn around, go the other direction. We are here now. I don't know what the Spirit will tell you to do, but it's time to listen to it. It is the most sophisticated alarm system ever made. Use it.